With Titans Season 3 now out, it is time to recap Season 2. What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here to give you guys my Titans recap video on Season 2. So for some of y'all who don't have the time to catch up on Season 2 before Season 3, well, this video is for you. And just so you know, guys, it's been a long time since I did a recap, so sorry if I'm going to sound rusty, but gonna give it all I got here, so let's get into it. Starting off where Season 1 left off, Raven has now discovered, after seeing Grayson be controlled by Trigon, how evil her parents are, and with Beast Boy begins to hide somewhere within the house. As they are hiding, Hank and Dawn go to Wayne Manor and meet and recruit Jason to help them find Grayson and the others. As they make it to where they are, they find Starfire and Donna Troy trying to break into the barrier. With them all there, Trigon allows them to come in and then gains control of each of them by making them go through a same dream sequence that Grayson went through. With them now under his control and Beast Boy being the only one left, Trigon has the entire Titans attack Beast Boy and seemingly kill him. This is enough to make Raven's heart break, but both figuratively and literally, that it allows Trigon to gain the gem that was inside her heart, and he begins to transform and then puts the gem within inside Raven. But luckily, Beast Boy, who was alive the whole time, is able to break Raven free of Trigon's control, and Raven in the meantime goes to Dick and makes him remember who he is. With him now free, Raven goes to confront her father, who before he started his mission of trying to destroy the Earth, kills Angela, and then Raven finally goes to confront her father and is able to defeat him. With the world now saved, their incident eventually gets caught on the news, but the Titans now take the time to separate into three groups and go their separate ways, with Grayson going to meet Bruce and kind of reconciling and deciding it's time to rebuild the Titans again, but with a new roster. And in the meantime, little do they know, the news report that they got into eventually reaches an old enemy of theirs, that being Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. You see, Slade Wilson and the Titans have a history together that dates back 4 years ago. Deathstroke, before meeting the Titans, was a military soldier, part of a unit called Hive, that gave him an experiment that made him gain the abilities that he is known for, and eventually, when he was discharged from the military, turned into a mercenary. But he also had a wife, Adeline, and they had a son, Jericho. However, though, just like in the comics, his mercenary ways eventually caught the attention of some enemies that used his family for leverage, that it eventually caused one of them to slit Jericho's throat, and in the end, Adeline and Jericho cut ties with him and left him. Deathstroke, on the other hand, Slade Wilson, continued on with his mercenary ways that eventually led him into crossing paths with the Titans, who the original OG Titan roster consists of Robin, Hawk, Dove, Wonder Girl, and Aqualad. And just like the original Titans, good friends, and this even helps us to explore Grayson's relationship with Dawn that was mentioned in Season 1, and in the fact that Aqualad, aka Garth, and Wonder Girl, aka Donna Troy, had a mutual attraction for each other. Garth, though, wanted to go for it, but Donna continued to persistently resist, up to the point that she wanted to go with her mentor, Julian, back to Themyscira to begin her trials to become a true Amazon warrior. But Garth eventually caught on and was nearly close to convincing her not to go, until a tragedy struck them when Garth got shot by Deathstroke. This in turn made the Titans decide to track down Deathstroke, and they decided to do it by going through his son Jericho. But as they continued to get to know Jericho more and grow fond of him, they eventually decided to tell him the truth. And in doing so, they also learned that he has powers that he gained from his father, and that's the power to transfer his mind into other people and gain full control of them. And after eventually telling him the truth about them being the Titans and the truth about his father, this causes Jericho to be mad at not just his father, but but his mother for lying about who his father really is. That it gets to the point that Adeline informs Slade about who he really is and tells him to fix it. This causes Deathstroke to contact his son to tell him to meet somewhere, but not before completing the mission he was supposed to have completed, and that was killing Donna Troy's mentor Julian, but in the end, Garth took the bullet, which is how this all started. But in doing so, also had a quick encounter with Donna Troy and gave her a warning to stay away from his son. After which he goes meets Jericho at the church, but little did Jericho know he was followed by Grayson. This leads to Deathstroke and Grayson battling each other, and just when Deathstroke's about to make the final kill, Jericho steps in and saves Grayson's life. But this, in doing so, hits tragedy on both the Titans and Deathstroke, so much so that the OG Titans shut down their operation of Titan Tower. Then, moving back to present time, 3 months has passed, and Grayson is training Raven, Beast Boy, and Jason to be the new Teen Titans. And as he's busy training them, Deathstroke breaks Dr. Light out of jail, and they decide to work together to destroy the Titans, who have been resurfaced. And in the meantime, Hank and Don are living in Wyoming and are helping a kid out, while you got Donna and Starfire, who just finished capturing Shimmer. But as everything is going well and they're doing their lives, Hank and Don are eventually visited by the kid they were helping, who ends up exploding in bright light. This helps them know that Dr. Light is back. They contact Donna to let them know that Dr. Light is back, and they all head to San Francisco so they can work with Grayson on taking care of that problem. And in the meantime, in San Francisco, as the Titans are busy watching TV, they find a girl who is on the run from the cops. Grayson eventually finds her after she loses the cops and takes her to Titan's Tower. And as he begins to try to connect with her and help her out, Jason and Beast Boy decide to learn about who she is. They learn of her name being Rose Wilson, and she is the daughter of Slade Wilson Deathstroke. Once knowing this, Grayson has a talk with Rose about Deathstroke for a bit, but then they get interrupted when the OG Titans return to Titan Tower so they can take down Dr. Light and get back to their lives. But while there, Donna asks Grayson to let them know of their sins with what happened between them, Jericho, and Deathstroke. And as that is going on, Starfire, who had left Donna, was being paid a visit by another person from Tamaran who she had a one-night stand with named Fidel, who was sent by Blackfire to come bring her back to Tamaran. And at first she was going to, but when Raven called her, she asks for Starfire's help, because in this season, Raven's having different problems with her powers. It's almost like her powers got a mind of their own. And in doing so, sometimes it makes her almost hurt people, such as Beast Boy and Jason. And with knowing that, Starfire decides to keep Fade trapped inside her ship for a while she goes and helps Raven. And in the meantime, Beast Boy eventually tracks down Dr. Light, but before he can tell Grayson, Jason convinces him to let them deal with it so Jason can prove himself to Grayson. However, though, in doing so, he ends up getting captured by both Deathstroke and Dr. Light. Beast Boy, who is able to escape, informs the OG Titans of what happens, and they go to find Jason Todd. And in the meantime, as they're trying to locate him, Deathstroke kills Dr. Light and then makes contact with the Titans and tells them to hand over his daughter, Rose Wilson. And as they are doing that and head back to the tower, Raven and Starfire have a talk about their powers and how it defines them and what they can do with them. When the Titans get back to the tower, they begin to converse their next move. However, though, Rose Wilson, who was eavesdropping, hears that some of them are thinking of handing her over, that it causes her to have a bit of a scuffle with some of the Titans, but they're able to stop her. And after which, Dawn confronts Grayson again about what happened between them, Jericho, and Deathstroke, and tells him to end the Titans once they've completely defeated Deathstroke. And at first, Grayson looks like he's going to do that, but in the way they didn't expect. He planned on turning himself into Deathstroke and leaving them out in the dark. And the plan seemed to have worked until but Corey knew what he was doing, which led into those two fighting Deathstroke. But eventually, Deathstroke is able to suspend the trap of Jason Todd falling to his supposed death. But luckily for him, Connor Kent was in the area and saved his life. How did Connor Kent ended up coming to San Francisco, you may wonder? Well, this all leads back into the post-credit scene of Season 1, how he escaped with Crypto and escaped Cadmus. And as he escaped Cadmus, he is first encountering the real world and the city and as he's roaming around the city, he comes across his famous Superman black t-shirt. And as he continues to walk around the city, we are introduced to Mercy Grace and Dr. Evil Watson, the one who created him, and they both assemble a team to hunt him down, and they eventually track Connor and Crypto down to Smallville, where he goes through the memories of both Luthor and Clark. There he goes to Luthor's house, where he meets Luthor's father and gets to know him a little more. But as he's getting to know him, they are attacked by the soldiers. However, though, Connor's able to get rid of them all and then ends up finding Eve, who is hiding inside a truck nearby. There he meets Eve, and Eve takes him to his birthplace of where he was created. And after coming to care for Connor, Eve sets him free so he won't have to be in the hands of Cadmus. However, though, this is how Connor ended up ending in San Francisco. After being set free and rescuing Jason, though, he was shot by Cadmus with a kryptonite bullet, and Crypto was in the end captured by Mercy. And after everything that happened, Jason Todd ends up having PTSD after the fall in his experience with Deathstroke. However, though, he refuses to share this info with the team. But in doing so, this is the time when he and Rose begin to bond over their similar personalities and likes. In the meantime, Connor is recovering back at Titan's Tower, while Eve ends up freeing Crypto and going to Titan's Tower to help Connor recover. With the help of Starfire, he is able to be fully healed from the kryptonite bullet. And Eve, in the meantime, goes off hiding somewhere while Crypto stays with Connor. As all this is going on, though, Grayson takes this time to do his best to desperately try to find Deathstroke and finish things with him once and for all. But as he's doing this, he is visited by an illusionary ghost of Bruce Wayne, who continues to follow him around until finally, as he continues to look for Deathstroke, he learns that he is within the tower as he sees pictures of them in their current times in the tower. And little did he know is that as he came back to warn them of it, the Titans are blaming Jason for what seems to be pranks that are being played on them in the tower. This gets to the point where Jason looks like he's going to kill himself, but Grayson, being convinced by the ghost of Bruce, confesses to Jason that he killed Deathstroke's son. And after telling Jason, he eventually tells the rest of the Titans. And after hearing about it, every one of them except Beast Boy and Starfire leave. Starfire, on the other hand, leaves due to Fide having escaped from her ship and making contact with her and meeting her outside of the tower. It turns out that Fide informs Starfire that Blackfire has now taken over Tamaran, and not only that, but later on, she is able to take over Fide, and Starfire eventually finds this out, and since Fide can't break free of her, he is forced to be killed by Starfire. This in turn allows Blackfire to show herself through a hologram and informs Starfire that she has not only taken over Tamaran, but she has killed both of their parents and has decided to maroon Corey on Earth. But as all that is going on with her, Raven at first leaves with Donna Troy, but then decides to leave her, while Hawk and Dove decide to return back to Wyoming, where they are visited by Elias's sister, Ellis' sister. I believe that's his name. Sorry, guys, I can't remember off the top of my head. But meeting her makes Hank believe that they are bad for each other, and they ended up breaking up. But while all of that is going on, Grayson decides to leave the tower, leaving Beast Boy the only one to watch over the tower, and Connor. Eventually, Connor wakes up, and as Beast Boy is telling him about what the Titans do, and as they're outside, Connor mistakes the police as bad guys and attacks them. This in turn catches the attention of Cadmus. And in the meantime, Grayson left to go see Adeline to ask for forgiveness, but no such luck. However, though, little did he know, and to his surprise, is that Slade was waiting for him, and he makes Grayson be sentenced to live in isolation. But while he is talking with Grayson, you notice Deathstroke is acting strange, almost like he's having trouble controlling himself. That's because it turns out Jericho is inside him. Before sacrificing his life and almost fully dying, Jericho used his powers to transfer inside his dad's body. Unfortunately, though, Grayson doesn't realize this yet, and in the meantime, as he does what Slade says and decides to live in isolation, instead, he decides to have himself be arrested. Doing so, he is sentenced to a prison facility, but while there, he wants to be punished and refuses to be in an isolated cell. Instead, be with cellmates, even if it means him getting beat up with them knowing he's a cop. However, though, the cellmates he rooms with, he learns that they're trying to escape. And at first, while he tries to tell them not to, they tell him that no matter what, they will escape. And in doing so, one of the cellmates tells them of a story about a winged bird that watches over them. When the time finally comes for them to escape, it looks like they won't make it, but Grayson helps them escape. And while all of that is going on in the facility, Connor is now wanted by both the police and the FBI for all the assaults he did, and little does he know, by Cadmus. And knowing this, he sets Crypto free, but instead, Crypto goes back to get Beast Boy, and they return to the tower. But unfortunately, Cadmus followed them and captures Beast Boy, but Mercy shows up to convince Connor to come with them. And as Connor is being refigured to be under their control, he is able to convince Beast Boy to stay, not knowing that he is about to be used for something big by Cadmus. And as all that is going on, we catch up with Raven, who after leaving Donna Troy, spends time in a shelter. There she meets an orphan girl named Danny, who has an abusive father. Knowing this, she uses her powers to stop him and make him run away. But little did Raven know is that her powers somehow still are active and end up possessing a gargoyle and killing Danny's father. Donna Troy, who is searching for Raven, loses leads and decides to head back to the tower, where she finds it and destructs in a big mess, as if a battle went on. And knowing she needs to find them, tries to call Grayson again, not knowing he's in prison. And back in the prison, after helping those guys, Grayson is once again back in the facility, but in an isolation prison. And as he is in there, he is once again visited by the ghost of Bruce Wayne in his conscious, as he helps Grayson realize that Jericho is still alive, and that he needs to get over his self-loathingness. In the meantime, Raven, who has been spending time with the orphan kids, has a dream about Deathstroke killing Grayson, and this in the process makes her have an image of a diner called Elko Joe's. And convincingly enough, as all this is going on, Starfire, who is in grieving mode after finding out about her parents, has been drinking her sorrows away and sleeping with random guys. One of them being a psychiatrist that she opens up to, but then makes leave, and then ends up getting a commercial about Elko Diners. And Donna Troy also ends up getting a message to go to Elko Diners through her phone. And in the meantime, Dawn also gets the same message through her radio as she's traveling back to San Francisco to do who knows what. And in the meantime, for Hank, the way he's dealing with the breakup is going through cage fights and drinking and drugs again. But that all aside, all the females of the Titans eventually meet up at Elko Joe, where they find out that they were set up to go there by Bruce Wayne, who helps them who helps them know that despite all the bad times the Titans have, they need each other. While this doesn't exactly convince them completely, it's a starting point, and they eventually find out Grayson is in prison. Now, Raven and Corey think they should rescue Grayson, so they head to the prison to go rescue him, but they found out he's already gone, but left a message saying that Jericho is still alive. And after finding out that he already escaped, and with no clue as to where he is, they decide to head back to San Francisco to go help Don and Donna, who decided to go find Gar instead. They eventually run into a Cadmus worker named Walter and get info from him and find out that Cadmus, after using brain surgery, now has Beast Boy under their control. And as all of this is going on, we catch up with Jason and Rose, who are growing more closer together, to the point that Jason tells her of his story of who he was before he became Robin and lived in Wayne Manor, even showed him where he lived for a while. This all makes Rose grow more and closer to the point that she actually decides to quit working with her father to defeat the Titans, even to the point that she confesses the truth to Jason. The truth being that when she first discovered about her powers, she confronted her mom about her real father. This in turn led her to meet up with Deathstroke. At first, Deathstroke rejected her, but then decided to change his mind and actually grow more closer with her. But at the same time, it was actually to recruit her and train her to help him get ready to take down the Titans. And doing so, she was also given her Ravager suit. And after some time of training, he tells Rose about what happened with him, Jericho, and the Titans. After hearing all this, Jason, who is hurt, breaks up with Rose and decides to leave. And in the meantime, Slade decides to gear up and calls Rose back to San Francisco after he learns that the Titans are getting back together again. With everyone else out doing their thing, Grayson, as I said, who escaped prison, goes back and meets with Adeline and finds out that Adeline, like Grayson, has learned of Jericho's real status. But not only that, Adeline also informs Grayson, that Rose has been working with Deathstroke the entire time. And after telling Grayson about what Jericho told his mother about what Grayson can do, she gives him the mission to bring him back, which he decides to do. But before doing that, he goes to what seems to be a shoe store that is actually a secret place that makes suits for him and Batman to get his new suit. And as Grayson is getting his new suits, we come across Mercy Graves again, who decides to activate a plan called Phase 2. Phase 2 is actually a plan to have Beast Boy attack a carnival, and Cadmus, looking like they're the heroes, comes in with Connor to attack Beast Boy. This is all done to show a demo to underworld brokers who start to bid on how much they can get out of Connor, and how much they can get if they make more of Connor Kent, on Connor's abilities being both half human and half Kryptonian. The female group of the Titans reunite at Titan's Tower to give them each an update on what's been going on with each other. And then that's when they hear about the news at the carnival. As they are on their way there, they are intercepted by Deathstroke. This is what leads us to the live introduction of Dick Grayson's new persona as Nightwing. As he battles Deathstroke, they are eventually interrupted with Rose showing up in a Ravager suit and working with Nightwing to fight her father. After a brief battle, Rose is able to seemingly kill her father, but not before having Jericho use his powers to transfer into Rose and take over her body for a minute to have a moment with reuniting with Grayson and the other Titans. With everything but with Deathstroke now out of the way, the Titans arrive at the carnival in their Titan suits. And as the Titans are battling Connor, Hawk in turn also shows up in the middle of the battle. And as this is going on, the biddings continue on until Bruce Wayne hacks into the system and ends the bidding. In the meantime, Raven helps Gar regain control of himself. And after regaining control And after Gar regains control of himself, Raven joins the Titans and holding off Superboy so that she can use her powers to have Nightwing transfer into Connor's mind. And with his help, Connor is able to see the light and regain control of himself and stop Cadmus by subduing Mercy and everyone else. However, though, during the battle, a tower was damaged and begins to fall on innocent people until Donna Troy comes in and protects everyone, but the high voltage of electricity kills her and she makes the sacrifice just like a true Titan would. After which, there is a funeral for her where everyone is there, even Jason, who watches from a distance. And once the funeral is over, Raven decides to go to Themyscira, believing that with how her powers are changing, she might be able to help bring Donna Troy back. Everyone else then returns to the tower, with Bruce visiting Grayson and both of them fully reconcile their issues with each other. After which, Grayson goes to help Gar work out what happened at the carnival. Hank and Dawn, who are not going to get back together, are wondering, will they still be working together as Hawk and Dove? As they all get together and have dinner around the table, Grayson takes the time to make a speech about Donna Troy and about what the Titans mean to each other as family. It all leads into the final scene of the Titans all suiting up and heading into action. And that right there, guys, is season 2 of Titans. Like I said, it's been a long time since I did a recap, and if any of y'all were able to make it through all of this along with me, I have nothing but the absolute gratitude for you. But I hope this recap helps you all out, and you guys are ready to see season 3. But until then, guys, if you enjoy my videos, all you gotta do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. And until then, MegaGeekMixer signing out. Bye!